Codex Aubin, English reading translation. A page-keyed working translation of the alphabetic text in the Princeton manuscript copy with Nahuatl names and calendar signs retained. Prepared August 2026. Editorial note. This is a readable English working edition, not a new critical edition of classical Nahuatl. It follows the page-level diplomatic transcription and Spanish translation published by the Translating Mesoamerica Project and checks major passages against established scholarship. Recurrent calendar terms have been normalized as reed, flint, house, and rabbit. Nahuatl personal names, place names, month names, and difficult phrases are generally retained rather than guessed. The manuscript is a late 18th or early 19th century copy of the Codex Aubin. The historical narrative itself runs from the Mexica Migration out of Aztlan through colonial events recorded to 1608. Blank and image-only leaves have no translation entry. Each heading below uses the source page number and names the matching extracted image file. Important phrases such as devil and idolatry reflect colonial Christian framing in the alphabetic source and its early translations. They should not be treated as neutral descriptions of Nahua religion. Where the underlying transcription or Spanish rendering is unresolved, the English remains deliberately literal or is marked as uncertain. Primary manuscript, Princeton University Library, C074, 4.02, Garrett Mesoamerican Manuscripts No. 1, Codex Aubin, manuscript, between 1775 and 1825. Transcription base, Translating Mesoamerica, Codex Aubin, https://translating-mesoamerica.org/es/aubin.html. Comparison, Ana Pulido Rule / Ana Hernandez, Rajago Palan Scholarship, and the Fordham Codex Aubin Collaborative Transcription Project. James Lockhart's translation of the Conquest extract was also consulted for context. English translation. Source page 5. Corresponding image, scan_005.jpg. Here is written what was an account of the years of the Mexica. There are only 4, and that's what they are called. 1 reed ends at 13 reed, 1 flint ends at 13 flint, 1 house ends at 13 house, 1 rabbit ends at 13 rabbit. And when the 4 of them finish, our years are immediately tied to year 2 reed, a period of 52 years, which is a complete age. It was written here in Mexico on September 27th, 1576. Source page 6. Corresponding image, scan_006.jpg. Second indication of the house called 1 reed is 13 years old and has 3 officers. In the first house where the hand is, this land was discovered. In the second, the Spanish entered it. In the third, they beat Mexico. In the fourth, they began to build Mexico. In the 6th, the 12 friars arrived. Source page 7. Corresponding image, scan_007.jpg. The Huexotzincas, Chalcas, Xochimilcas, Cuitlahuacas, Malinalcas, Chichimecas, Tepanicas, and Matlatzincas. They came from Quinahuayan. Source page 8. Corresponding image, scan_008.jpg. Here is written the history of where the Mexica came from the place called Aztlan. They came out of the middle of the water, and there were 4 Calpulli. They came, passed by in canoes, and placed their fir branches, and that place was called Quinhuayan Oztotl, the cave of the quick exit. It was located there, and 8 Calpulli emerged from there. The first Calpulli was the Huexotzincas, the second Calpulli was the Chalcas, the third Calpulli was the Xochimilcas, the fourth Calpulli was the Cuitlahuacas, the fifth Calpulli was the Malinalcas, the sixth Calpulli was the Chichimecas, The 7th Calpulli was the Tepanecas. The 8th Calpulli was the Matlatzinkas. There was Culhuacan, and there were its inhabitants, who had also left Aztlan. There they lived when the Aztecs passed by. There they passed through them. When passing through Culhuacan, the Aztecs were seen and told, "Our gentlemen, where are you going? Let us accompany you." And the Aztecs said, "Where shall we take them?" And the 8 Calpulli responded, "No, our gentlemen, we will not accompany you." And the Aztecs responded, "Okay, we'll take them." Later in Culhuacan, they passed by the devil called Huitzilopochtli, whom they worshipped. Source page 9. Corresponding image, scan_009.jpg. They brought a woman named Chimalman, who was brought from Aztlan. They came in 4 groups when they were advancing. In year 1, Tecpatl left Culhuacan. There were 4 who came carrying the devil: Quao, Apan, Tezca, Chimal. The first was called Quaucohuatl, the second Apanacatl, the third Tezcacohuatl, and the 4th Chimalman. Source page 10. Corresponding image, scan_010.jpg. They arrived at Coahuitl its Intlan, and there they settled under a very thick tree. They made a shrine and placed the devil on it. After placing it, they took their supplies. They were about to start eating, when suddenly the tree broke above them, and they immediately stopped what they were eating. They walked with their heads down for a long time. Then their devil called them and told them, "Tell the 8 Calpulli that you are with them. Tell them that we will not continue forward, and that we will return from here." When he told them this, the 8 Calpulli became very sad. "Oh, our lords, where will we go? Where will we accompany you?" And they told them again, "No, we won't go any more." And first the 8 Calpulli left. There they left the Aztecs in Cuauhtzintlan. They stayed there for a long time. Then they set out, and on the way they found the owl men, who were lying next to a large pot, and others were lying under a mesquite tree. These were called Mimixcohua. The first was called Suneltzin, the second was called Mimitzin, the third was a woman, and was their older sister. Once again the devil Huitzilopochtli spoke to them. He told them. Source page 11. Corresponding image, scan_011.jpg. Take those who are next to the pot. They will be the first tribute. Source page 12. Corresponding image, scan_012.jpg. Then right there, he changed the name of the Aztecs. He told them, "From this moment on, they are no longer called Aztecs, but Mexicas." There, in that place, they put feathers in their ears when they took the name of Mexicas. And there they gave them the arrow, the bow, and the net. They arrowed what was going up. The Mexicas arrived in Cuextecatlichocayan and Cohuatlicamec in the year 2 house. Source page 15. Corresponding image, scan_015.jpg. Then upon them again came the time of the binding of years on the top of Cohuatlicamac Cohuatepetl, which was where the fire drill fell in the year 2 read. Source page 16. Corresponding image, scan_016.jpg. The Mexicas moved to Tallinn. Source page 17. Corresponding image, scan_017.jpg. In the year of Reed, the Mexicas completed 20 years in Tallinn. Source page 18. Corresponding image, scan_018.jpg. And then the Mexicas moved to Atlitlalatzin. The Mexicas spent 11 years in Atlitlalatzin. Source page 19. Corresponding image, scan_019.jpg. And then the Mexicas moved to Tlemaco. In the year of Reed, the Mexicas completed 5 years of staying in Tlemaco. Source page 20. Corresponding image, scan _ 020.jpg. Then the Mexicas moved to Atotonilco. The Mexicas spent 4 years living in Atotonilco. Source page 21. Corresponding image, scan _ 021.jpg. In the year 4, Flint the Mexicas moved to Apasco. In the year 2 Reed, the time of the binding of years came upon them again in Apasco, on the top of Huitzcatl, which was where the fire drill fell. Source page 22. Corresponding image, scan _ 022.jpg. In the year 3, Flint the Mexicas moved to Sompanco. In year 6, the Mexicas completed 4 years of staying in Sompanco. Source page 23. Corresponding image, scan _ 023.jpg. In the year 7, Flint the Mexicas moved to Zaltocan. In year 10, the Mexicas completed 4 years of staying in Zaltocan. Source page 24. Corresponding image, scan _ 024.jpg. Then in the year 11, Flint the Mexicas moved to Acalhuacan. In year 1, the Mexicas completed 4 years of staying in Acalhuacan. Source page 25. Corresponding image, scan _ 025.jpg. In the year 2, Flint the Mexicas moved to Ecatepec. In year 5, the Mexicas completed 4 years of staying in Ecatepec. Source page 26. Corresponding image, scan _ 026.jpg. In the year 6, Flint, the Mexicas moved to Tolpetlac. In year 13, the Mexicas completed 8 years of staying in Tolpetlac. Source page 27. Corresponding image, scan _ 027.jpg. Then, in the year 1, Flint the Mexicas moved to Cohuatitlan. Source page 28. Corresponding image, scan _ 028.jpg. In year 7, the Mexicas completed 20 years of staying in Cohuatitlan, and immediately they went to Chalco for magueyes. They scraped them and drank the pulque there in Cohuatitlan. Source page 29. Corresponding image, scan _ 029.jpg. In the year 8, Flint, the Mexicas moved to Huixactitlan. In year 11, the Mexicas completed 4 years of being in Huixactitlan. Source page 30. Corresponding image, scan _ 030.jpg. Then the Mexicas moved to Tecpayocan. In Tecpayocan, they spent 4 years staying there. In that same place, the Mexicas were surrounded in the war, and Tecpatzin, Huitzilihuitzin, and Tetapantzin died in it. Then upon them again came the time of the binding of the years at the top of Tecpayo. Source page 31. Corresponding image, scan _ 031.jpg. In the year 3, Flint, the Mexicas moved to Pantitlan. In year 6, the Mexicas completed 4 years of staying in Pantitlan. There they had an epidemic where their skin cracked. Source page 32. Corresponding image, scan _ 032.jpg. In the year 7 Flint, the Mexicas moved to Amalinalpan in Azcapotzalco. In the year 1, the Mexicas completed 8 years in Amalinalpan as ruler of Azcapotzalco, Tezozomoctli. Source page 33. Corresponding image, scan _ 033.jpg. In the year 2 Flint, the Mexicas moved to Pantitlan. In year 5, the Mexicas completed 4 years of staying in Pontitlan. Source page 34. Corresponding image, scan, _O34.jpg. In the year 6, Flint the Mexicas moved to Acol Nahuac. In the year 9, the Mexicas completed 4 years of staying in Acol Nahuac. Source page 35. Corresponding image, scan _O35.jpg. In the year 10, Flint the Mexicas moved to Popotlan. In the year 13, the Mexicas completed 4 years of staying in Popotlan. Source page 36. Corresponding image, scan _O36.jpg. In the year 1, Flint the Mexicas moved to Tenochtitlan. In the year 2, House Tenochtitlan was made ruler, 160 years. In year 4, read, the Mexicas completed 4 years of staying in Tenochtitlan. Source page 37. Corresponding image, scan _O37.jpg. In the year 5, Flint the Mexicas moved to Atlacuihuayan. In the year 8, read, the Mexicas completed 4 years of staying in Atlacuihuayan. There they found the dart thrower called Atlatl and the arrow, which is why the Mexicas called this place Atlacuihuayan. Source page 38. Corresponding image, scan _O38.jpg. Then the Mexicas moved to Chapultepec, 180 years. Source page 39. Corresponding image, scan _O39.jpg. In Chapultepec, the Mexicas were attacked by the Tepaneca of Culhuacan, who came from all 4 directions. There they were murdered. Source page 40. Corresponding image, scan _O40.jpg. In Chapultepec, they spent 20.5 years. Then they moved to Acapulco. There the Mexicas were attacked. There they were defeated, and the time of the binding of years came upon them again. And there they dressed in aquatic moss. From there they took Huitzilopochtli, along with his daughter Azcalxoc, and her older sister named Tozpangsoc. They were taken naked with nothing to Ixtlahuacan in Culhuacan, before the ruler Coxcoxtli. Huitzilopochtli was very sad when he saw his daughter naked, and that is why he said this to the ruler, "O Lord, give my daughter something to cover herself with." And Coxcoxtli responded, "No, I don't want to, and he will leave with nothing." And Huitzilopochtli begged again, saying, "O Lord, give my daughter something to cover herself with." And Coxcoxtli responded, "No, I don't want to, and he will leave with nothing." And again Huitzilopochtli begged, saying, "O Lord, give my daughter something to cover herself with." And Coxcoxtli responded again, "No, I don't want to, and he will leave with nothing." Source page 41. Corresponding image, scan _O41.jpg. In the year 3, Flint the Mexicas were taken to Contitlan in Culhuacan. They remained in Tizapan in Culhuacan. In year 6, read, the Mexicas completed 4 years of staying in Contitlan de Culhuacan. Source page 42. Corresponding image, scan _O42.jpg. Even while in Contitlan, the Mexicas fathered children. In year 6, the Colhuas went to war with the Xochimilcas. The ruler Coxcoxtli immediately said, "Aren't the Mexicas here? Let them come." Then the Mexicas were called. They went before the ruler, and he told them, "Come, today the Xochimilcas want to conquer us. We entrusted you to capture 400 of them, and they will become your captives." Then the Mexicas responded, "It is fine, our lord, but give us an old shield and an old baton." And the ruler said, "I don't want to, and they will leave with nothing." And the Mexica gathered together and deliberated and said, "What will we take?" And they answered, "Even if we only go with obsidians, we will beat and cut off the noses of our enemies, because if we cut off one ear, they will say that we have cut off both of their ears." Source page 43. Corresponding image, scan _04 3.jpg. And so they don't say that. We'll cut off each one's nose. Let us hang our blankets around our necks. We will count them and carry them in them, since there will not be few. Then they hung themselves and tied their blankets around their necks. They immediately left to fight the Xochimilcas. Some went in canoes to fight, and were led by Cohuapan. It happened at the time of the knight from Colhuacan called Teztzitlan, who dressed with the insignia called Amatlazohualhuipili, said, "Camine Mexicas, for there is already taking of captives." Then they arrived at the Xochimilcas piers. Then the Mexicas came before the ruler Coxcoxtli, began to count the captives before him, and said, "Sir, our captives are complete. There were 400 that we have taken." Then he called his advisors and told them, "These Mexicas are not people. How did they do what I ordered them, since I was only making fun of them?" The Mexicas were too surprised and only brought 4 live captives. Not all captives were brought before the ruler Coxcoxtli. Source page 44. Corresponding image, scan _044.jpg. Then they put their earth altar in Tizapan. After building it, they immediately went to tell the ruler, "We already have our altar, sir. Give us something to offer." And the ruler responded, "It's okay, they were very useful. Let my priests bring gifts." Then the ruler ordered his priests, telling them, "Bring dung and hair at this moment, as well as a tapacamino's bird." And they brought these offerings at night. Then the Mexica said, "What was it that they gave us for our altar?" Then they looked at the center of the altar and were very distressed to see that it was excrement that had been brought to them as a gift. Immediately they themselves destroyed said altar, and as an offering they placed thorns and fir branches. Source page 45. Corresponding image, scan _045.jpg. And with humility they went to invite the ruler. He came and saw how the Mexicas killed their prisoners as offerings. They were sacrificed on Quetzalpanecayotl and Xuchimalquetzalpanetl, but they were not sacrificed without anything. And on top of all this, they put the brand, made images, and tied up the years in Chapultepec. Afterwards, they no longer put the firebrand. This happened when the Mexicas were surrounded, and Coxcoxtli, already angry, said, "Who are these? They are not people? Run them." And they were expelled. They moved to Acatzintitlan de Mexicatzinco. They passed with much difficulty through the thick reed beds and Tuileries while they were being shot with arrows. Source page 46. Corresponding image, scan _046.jpg. In the year 7, Flint the Mexicas completed 1 year of stay in Mexicatzinco. Source page 47. Corresponding image, scan _047.jpg. In year 8, the Mexicas moved to Nexticpac. In year 11, Flint the Mexicas completed 4 years of being in Nexticpac. Source page 48. Corresponding image, scan _048.jpg. In the year 12, Casa the Mexicas moved to Iztacalco. In the year 13, the Mexicas spent 2 years in Iztacalco. There they made a paper hill. They sang to it all night. There the general of Colhuacan, called Teztzitlan, was praised. He was praised with Teztzitzilintzin, Teztzitzilintzin, Amatla huische, Amatla coach. He was standing there crying. 13 Tochtli, Ipan ik onxiu tique, in Mexica in Oncan Iztacalco. Oncan quichuque, In Amatepetl se yohual in quiquicatique, oncan quiquiqueoque, in tlacatecatl colhuacan, itocatetzitzilin queque, tetzitzilin sin amatla huiche, amatla oche, ompanchoricach, and. Source page 49. Corresponding image, scan _049.jpg. In the year 1, the Mexicas moved to Zoquipan. In this same year and in this same place, the women of the Mexicas gave birth. They immediately built temazcals in Tenochtitlan, since that is where they were. They bathed and went out to investigate, and they walked for 196 years. Exalahua, with another named Qualcohuatl, went to explore and went out to Acatitlan, where a cactus was found. Source page 50. Corresponding image, scan _050.jpg, on which an eagle perched. Below it was its nest padded with different precious feathers, red spoonbill feathers, blue contiga feathers, and other precious feathers. And then the person called Qualcohuatl returned, called everyone, and said, "We have gone to see dark blue water." And there Axolahua was submerged. As soon as he was submerged, he transformed into Qualcohuatl. This is what he came to tell his companions. There Axolahua died after being submerged, there where we saw the cactus standing among the reeds on which an eagle was perched, and beneath it was its nest padded with different waters. There was dark blue water, and it was there where Axolahua was submerged. This is what Qualcohuatl told them. And the next day Axolahua came out and told his companions, "I went to see Tlaloc. He spoke to me and told me, 'My beloved son, Huitzilopochtli, has arrived. This will be his home, and he will be loved as long as we all live on earth.'" Source page 51. Corresponding image, scan _051.jpg. And after communicating this, the Mexicas immediately went to look out. They went to see the Tenochtitlan, and there they contemplated it. They began to sweep and clean under the cactus. Right there they placed an earthen altar. Somichmitl went to rejoice at that place, and right there they found a captain from Culhuacan. He was brought and placed inside the altar. They placed that captain, named Chichilquahuitl, captain of Culhuacan, as the center and heart. The construction of this altar was in the year 2 Flint. Source page 52. Corresponding image, scan _052.jpg. Mexico, the great city of New Spain. Source page 53. Corresponding image, scan _053.jpg. When the Chichimecas arrived in Culhuacan, at that time the Chichimecas made buildings at the foot of the cactus. They built tule huts and lived in them. And they began to hunt, but they were immediately surrounded, and from the dry land their bonfires were seen making a lot of smoke. This smoke was so foul that many who absorbed it bloated and died. Several times they wanted to conquer him, but they couldn't. Source page 56. Corresponding image, scan _056.jpg. In the year 1 Flint, Acamapishtli founded the lordship, and it was he who rose to power. Source page 57. Corresponding image, scan _057.jpg. 20 years. Source page 59. Corresponding image, scan _059.jpg. Acamapishtli died here. Source page 60. Corresponding image, scan _060.jpg. Huitzilopochtli was promoted as the second. Source page 61. Corresponding image, scan underscore 06, 1.jpg. Here was the tying of our years. It was the 5th time, and this was when the grasshoppers came down. 40 years. Source page 64. Corresponding image, scan underscore 064.jpg. Huitzilopochtli died here. The 3rd ruler was promoted, and it was Chimalpopoca who took office. It was he who went against the Tepanecs. Source page 65. Corresponding image, scan underscore 065.jpg, 60 years. Here Chimalpopoca died and was taken by the Tepanecas. Itzcoatl settled here as the 4th ruler. Source page 66. Corresponding image, scan underscore 066.jpg. The Quauhnahuacas were imprisoned here in the year 1 Flint. Source page 68. Corresponding image, scan underscore 068.jpg. Here some Quauhnahuacas were defeated and perished, subject to servitude, and paid tribute for 1 year to the house of Itzcoatl. Itzcoatl died here. In the year 11, Ilhuicaminatsin, Motiuc Zoma the elder, settled as the 5th ruler. Source page 69. Corresponding image, scan underscore 069.jpg, 80 years. Source page 70. Corresponding image, scan underscore 070.jpg. The grasshoppers came down here and were eaten in times of famine. Here the harvest froze, and that's when the famine began. Source page 71. Corresponding image, scan underscore 071.jpg. Nikin in ne si toch huelok. Quotica ne anoch aiquas. In nototonaka huilok. The year 1 rabbit arrived, and those who ate poultry meat were captured with sticks. Nikin in nechatoshwilok. Quautica ne anoch. Aiquak. In nototonaka huilok. Here we were marked by the year rabbit, and we were subjected to sticks when we surrendered to the Totonakas. Here the binding of our years was made for the 6th time, and when no one gave them folded tortillas and they had nothing in their stomachs, they died and the vultures ate them, since there was no one to bury them. Source page 72. Corresponding image, scan underscore 072.jpg. In year 4 the rains came. There was fertility throughout the land, and corn, chia, amaranth, and beans were produced in abundance. Source page 73. Corresponding image, scan underscore 073.jpg, 100 years. Here the Chalcas perished. Source page 74. Corresponding image, scan underscore 074.jpg. Here the Cuitlaxtecas perished. Source page 75. Corresponding image, scan underscore 075.jpg. Here Ilhuicaminatsin died, and Axayacatsin settled as the 7th ruler, and that was when the inhabitants of Xochitlan were destroyed. Here the Tlatelolcas were defeated. They were not fought for long by Axayacatsin. They tried to be strong. Nican Poliuque, in Tlatelolca, Amohuecao, in Quimonpeo, Axayacatsin ca Moquichnenequia in Moquihuix, Nehuan in Teconal, in Tlaca, Yelmaral / Yehuatlquaquautzin, Zan Ipan Toloca, Huel Popolihuiskia. Here there was an earthquake, and many hills fell, and all the houses collapsed. Source page 76. Corresponding image, scan underscore 076.jpg. Here the Okwiltecas were defeated. Here the Ixpatepecas were defeated. Here the Matlatzinca, inhabitants of Kali Imanyan, were defeaed. Their Axayacatsin was wounded by Tlilcuespal, inhabitant of Siquipilco. Axayacatsin was hit in the leg. Here there was an eclipse of the sun. All the stars appeared. This happened when Axayacatsin died, and Tezosicatsin was established as the 7th ruler. Source page 77. Corresponding image. Scan _077.jpg. Shortly after, the stones for Huitzilopochtli's house were raised. 120 years. Here Ahuizotzin ascended the throne as the 8th ruler. Source page 78. Corresponding image. Scan _078.jpg. A temple was built here by the Tziocohuacas and Mazatecas when the Cuauhnahuacas, Tepoztecas, Huaxtepecas, and Xiloxochitepecas came back to the throne over the Nahuatl. Here it trembled when the Moyohualitoa appeared. Here it hailed, and all the fish that lived in the waters died. Source page 79. Corresponding image. Scan _079.jpg. Here they ate the grasshoppers that came down. Source page 80. Corresponding image. Scan _080.jpg. Here it shook, and immediately the whole earth cracked. Here the inhabitants of Xochitlan were defeated. The Aztecs were defeated here when Tlacahuepansin died in Huixotzinco. Nicanmoquetz, Aquequexatl, Xiloti in Toctli, Apachu Zanquitla in Ahuitzotzin, Amoquimakaya in Tsotsomatzin, Coyohuacan Tlatoani, Iquicalati Amotehuante Kipano in Tepanecatl, Iquimictiskia in Tsotsomatzin. Source page 81. Corresponding image. Scan _081.jpg. Nikan Tetatakoto Malinalco. In Aquin Amomiech, Tlacatl in Quetzaltia. Ahuitzotzin died here. Mototzomatzin immediately ascended the throne as the 9th ruler. Here they again went to carve stone in Malinalco. 140 years. Here Macahuatl arrived. Here the Tzitzimitl came down. Source page 82. Corresponding image. Scan _082.jpg. Here the inhabitants of Zozolan were conquered. Here our years were bound for the 8th time since the Mexicas left Aztlan. The wood pigeons came down here. Here the omen appeared when a round stone pillar rolled in Texihuacan, when the Christians came after worshiping God, when they arrived here, and they came to write about the temple. Nikan in Tetzahuitl, Hualmoquequetzaya, Ihcuac Temoc Temimili, Texihuacan Ehcuac, Hualehuaque, in Expedian Ohme, Inich Queen Moyolotilito, Teotl, Inik Nikan Chiquihui, Auca Ekpak, Hualalaquilo Huaya in Teocali. Source page 83. Corresponding image. Scan _083.jpg. Here the Aikpetepecas and the Aixquixoquitepexas were conquered. Here the inhabitants of Tlaxcalco were conquered. The dust rose here when there was famine. Here they went to Malinalco for the 3rd time to carve the stone, and it was then that the Huexotzincas came to spy. Source page 84. Corresponding image. Scan _084.jpg. Motochamatzin died here, and that was when the Marquis arrived. In Ayejcoash Quimpulque in Mexica Inn. When the Mexicas were defeated, the Christians said that they did not come without purpose, but by command of God and order of St. Peter. He told them, "Tell the knights that there are still 2 lands to which they will go." Then 12 friars arrived. Isn't it known who said this? Source page 87. Corresponding image, scan _ 087.jpg. And he said again, make today what we will be. And the nobles said, call our elders. And immediately they went and ordered them, telling them, we are going back to what we usually do. And the elders said, let it spread strongly. And Captain Akatsin said, listen to what has happened before our eyes in Cholula. These were surrounded, and now they want to do the same to us. Let every 20 escudos become our refuge. And Moctezuma said, are we at war? Damn it. And the general responded, it's okay. And the song begins, led by a young man, Quihuatezcatl, who puts the headdress called Tolnahuacatl on his head when he begins the song. And each of the Christians came out from the crowd, and 4 by 4 went to stand at the entrance. They immediately went to beat the one who was leading. One of them went to hit the image of the devil. Others went to hit those who were playing the 2 drums. One was on the shore. Then everyone stood up. They were all killed. And one who had a censer in his hand in front of him shouted, Mexicans, why does no one do anything? Perhaps they don't understand. Who are these who have in their hands the shields of the vassals and batons of axolotl trees? Source page 88. Corresponding image, scan _ 088.jpg. And they all backed away and pushed each other. That's how they got locked in. And he had already been locked up for 20 days until the month of Etzalcoatl. And in this month, the order of Moctezuma came out secretly, telling his captains, listen, Mexicans, it's been 2 days without eating anything. The gods asked for their batons, but they gave them reed mats to eat. And today there are already 2 thunders. Tell our captains so that their presence is not missing. And the captains responded, all right. And they said that at night they put in grass for the horses. And the captain came immediately, when there were already 7 days of fighting. They went to Tlaxcala in the month of Tochhuilhuitantli, when Mototzomatzin died. When he died, he was given to a person named Apanacatl to carry. And he was taken to Hitzzilan, where he was followed. Then he was taken to Ecatitlan, where he was shot with arrows. He was immediately taken to Tecpancinco, where he was also followed. Then he was taken to Acatl Ayacapan, where he was left by the Apanacatl, saying, source page 89. Corresponding image, scan _ 089.jpg. O our lords, Moctezuma is afflicted. Perhaps I will carry him from one place to another. And the stewards got to work burning Moctezuma's body. And in the months of Tochhuilhuitantli, Tlaxochimaco, Xocotluetzi, and Ochpanisli, Cuitlahuatzin, ascended the throne, but died in the month of Quecholi before Panquetzalisli. Then Atemazli, Tititl, Izcalli, Atlacahualo. In the month of Tlaquexipehualisli, Cuauhtemoczin ascended the throne and conquered the Chalcas and the inhabitants of Xochitlan. Niman Quitaque, Telman Mohualmanque, Tozostontli, Ipaninmique, Pipiltin, Tzihuac Popoca, Xoxopehualoc, Tzihuaczin, Tencuequinotl, Axayaca, Totlehuico, Inichmique, Tzihuac Popoca, Quinahuati, in Cuauhtemoc Amatlan Tlenamacach Quimilhui. Intiachcahuan kanya omilhuitel in notlan hualte chemilhuitia in Tzihuac Popoca ma itla nechaiti. Nimen cuehtoque intiachcahuan. Machaquimo yolitla calhui in tlacatl, tlacocoliscuitis, maticahuacan mayau. Niman yemonahuatia in tlamacasque. No yehuantin intiachcahuan in temictesque. Niman yequintehte moai inoquitaque mo huene quilitai hui. Source page 90. Corresponding image, scan _ 090.jpg. In Cuauhtemoczin, Niman equeshlan canot quilhuia, okay shihuala on nikan titse. Niman ye quihui huitequi, hueto zostli, Niman ye toxcatl, etzalcoalistli, ipan intec sempehualtiheque, expianohme tequiluitontli, huetequilhuitl, Niman ye mitcailhuitontli. Ich napohualto natio ini chaxihuac Mexica-Tenochtitlan. Cuitlahuatzin, the 10th ruler, ascended the throne in the month of Ochpanistli. He only ruled for 40 days, as he died in the month of Quecholi due to blisters. He died when the Castilians went to Tlaxcala. Source page 91. Corresponding image, scan_091.jpg. Cuauhtémoc-Tzin, the 11th ruler, ascended the throne in the month of Nemontemi Coahuitlehua, and there the Mexica, the Tenochtitlan nation, dispersed when the Spanish entered. In the year 4 when Marquis was in Coyohuacan, at that time he gathered the rulers, Cuauhtémoc-Tzin, Tlacotzin, Oquiztzin, and Juanitzin, when Marquis went to Pantlanquextlan, when the wax candle appeared. The Melicuau Alonso, Tlaca Matlaca Tomin Tocpa In. Here the Chihuacoatl Tlacotzin ascended the throne, younger sister of the rulers, and this was when there was an eclipse of the sun. When the bait sail appeared, they found victory with Morales and Jacobo Hernandez, and again they greeted Marquez. Spirituality began here when the fathers began to indoctrinate. This was when Cuauhtémoc-Tzin died in Hueymatlan. Source page 92. Corresponding image, scan_092.jpg. This is where Cosmani began in Guatemala when Motelekeutzin spoke vigorously. And again they went to Colhuacan, Tenochtitlan, when the pumpkin was raised in Chapultepec. The weddings began here. Source page 93. Corresponding image, scan_093.jpg. Here Don Pablo Xochiquén ascended the throne when the inhabitants of Colamancan blistered again. He was already the 14th ruler. The president arrived here when the example was set, Santiago, and when the body was healed, the women also covered themselves, and when Don Pablo defeated the Tenochcas, and when the road to Chapultepec was built. Here there was a flea market called Santo Domingo. There was an earthquake where everything moved very quickly, and at this time it was when Francisco Tzihuac Xilotl was given the reed. Source page 94. Corresponding image, scan_094.jpg. Don Diego Panitzin ascended the throne as the 12th ruler when Don Antonio de Mendoza Viceroy arrived. And at this time the Tomines appeared. Also at this time the president started. A wooden temple was built here when the Tenochcas were burned in their boats. Here the new land began. The Tenochcas left for half a year when Don Diego Panitzin died. Don Diego Tehuetzcuitlizin ascended the throne as the 13th ruler. Source page 95. Corresponding image, scan_095.jpg. Year of 1541. Here they conquered the Xochipiltecas. Year of 1542. Here the flat and plain quarter coin appeared, when the Tenochcas arrived in the new land, and when the Xochipalancas entered. Year of 1543. The dust rose here when there was famine, when the Atempanica Bartolome Teopan shouted, and when the Tetzacapan cave appeared. Year of 1544. Year of 1545. A disease appeared here that caused nosebleeds. It spread for a year when the San Hipólito flea market was erected. Source page 96. Corresponding image, scan_096.jpg. Year of 1546. Year of 1547. San Jose was destroyed here when it shook. The canal was also made in Apepetscan. Year of 1548. Bishop Don Fray Juan de Zumárraga died here when the basin where Francisco Oxalotecatl was bathed with lime was enlarged. Judges Huexotzincas, Mateo Juarez, and Francisco Vasquez also arrived. Year of 1549. Here again the mayors sat. Francisco Anestok began the mayor's office when he began the tribute by giving 2 coins. Year of 1550. Here the Tenochcas Pablo Ejuahuacatl and Atlahua Baltazar Xochimilco would have been hanged who had been taken to the riverbank. When Don Luis de Velasco Viceroy came and when the ailment, such as temperature occurred in the people's necks, same time as the Citlal-Tepetl Canal was created. Source page 97. Corresponding image, scan_097.jpg. Year 1551. Here they attacked the people of Atenco, where they had the Tenochcas tied up. Day 3 of the month of February, year of 1552. Don Luis de Leo Romano arrived here. He searched for all forms of life when Zacatlan was attacked, and when the Ixmatlaltepetl hill in Chalco fell apart, when the resurrection of our God was fulfilled, when the spring San Francisco was expanded. Source page 98. Corresponding image, scan_098.jpg. Here the wall of San Francisco was renewed, when Zacatlan was attacked again. Year of 1553. Those from the Teonitlahuaque Church were repressed. March 2nd, and when it was learned that Viceroy Pelon died. Source page 99. Corresponding image, scan_099.jpg. Don Diego Tehuetzquetitzin died here on May 11th. On June 26, Judge Esteban de Guzman was given the baton of command. Don Diego Tehuetzquetitzin was going to undergo an examination of conscience. Year of 1554. On June 23rd, Don Alonso de Montufar, Archbishop, arrived. Also, when Judge Monte Alegre arrived on July 16th, he examined the conscience of the judges Mesias Quesada Herrera. Source page 100. Corresponding image, scan_100.jpg. On Saturday, February 12th, Francisco Oxalotecatl, Gabriel Tlomiau, and Baltazar Xochimilco arrived on the shores of Lake Tenochtitlan. Grass was laid in San Lazaro, where the hut is located. It was renewed on Thursday, February 28th, year of 1555. On Sunday, September 22nd, the Viceroy defended the public works. He said, "This Monday the people of 890 houses will meet." He also said, "They will need a hospital, and to build it will require 400 pesos, and the workers erected it." Check this translation. "And the singers will spend 300 pesos. The only time it was sold in the Plaza de San Hipólito was on Wednesday, October 2nd. On Friday, December 6th, the wall began. It was also when the pillars were made. Source page 101. Corresponding image, scan_101.jpg. Here the wall was finished. On May 14th, the fish went down. Here the hospital was started together with the sacristan of San Jose, year of 1556. On November 11th, a road was made behind Castañeda that goes directly to Xochitla. Source page 102. Corresponding image, scan_102.jpg. The sacristan of San Jose was completed here. The church of San Miguel began to be built here. Here Don Cristobal de Guzman Techetzin ascended the throne on January 6th, year of 1557. Here the Tehuilo-Yocan Road was made on March 6th. June 6th, the rulers were gathered here to be informed of the handover of the kingdom to the Emperor and Prince Don Felipe, and that for this reason there will be processions for 3 days of joy. Here the little house of the sacrament was completed, and the entire example of St. Francis was seen. It's market day again, Wednesday, October 13th. Source page 103. Corresponding image, scan_103.jpg. .jpg, year of 1558, year of 1558. On May 28th, the grasshoppers came out of the mountains, year of 1558, Saturday, May 28th. The cut-faced chichimecas arrived. On the feast of San Juan, San Miguel was killed. Source page 104. Corresponding image, scan_104.jpg, year of 1559. Today, April 15th, the grasshoppers came out. Monday, April 24th. The Viceroy embarked the people who went to Andalusia. On Monday, May the 29th, the channel started. Year of 1559. Here our years were bound for the 8th time. On July 8th, the Viceroy arrived to embark the people. On August 12th, Judge Don Esteban de Guzman came to amend the Calpuli's lands. On the feast of San Andres, the Emperor Don Carlos was laid to rest. Source page 105. Corresponding image, scan_105.jpg. On March 12th, the codices were burned. On May 9th, those who were tied up at night began to leave. Here the doctor of the kingdom returned. Here Juan Caliego, together with Judge Esteban de Guzman, censused our houses. On August 10th, the judges of Andalusia arrived. On October 8th, water fell again in the palace courtyard. On Monday the 24th, Judge Esteban de Guzman came to power in Tlatelolco. On December 11th, the Viceroy went to have fun in San Miguel. They put the Spanish boat in a pond. The paper emitted and the fire broke out. Source page 106. Corresponding image, scan_106.jpg, year of 1561. Here came Doña Ana, wife of Don Diego, daughter of Don Luis de Velasco, Viceroy of Zacatlacan. Source page 107. Corresponding image, scan_107.jpg, year of 1562. Hereby decree Don Pablo de la Cruz and Martin Cano were settled as mayors. They took their command staffs. On Friday, August 7th, the church was whitewashed in the back, where a Ferris wheel is located. On Monday, August 31st, they gathered the girls to be indoctrinated. In September, corn was already scarce, and a bushel was worth 1 peso and was received by the mayors and councilors. Today, Saturday, October 18th, Don Cristobal de Guzman Machetzen passed away. Here 3 priests were promoted by the archbishop. Source page 108. Corresponding image, scan_108.jpg, year of 1563. Today, Sunday, January 17th, Marquise's son arrived. Today, March 9th, the confirmations were carried out. Today, Tuesday, August 31st, Don Luis de Santa Maria Sipac came to power. Today, Sunday, September 12th, Bishop Sant Jose settled. Monday, on the 20th day of the month of September, the visitor arrived. The measles began here, ending the year. The priests helped us, and they confessed us in our stucco houses. We also received help from the doctors. Source page 109. Corresponding image, scan_109.jpg, year of 1564. Today, Tuesday, the 30th day of the month of February, the church was finally whitewashed. On Monday, May 29th, I dug trenches for my house that is in the image. Thursday, July 13th, it was decreed that 1 peso and 3 coins will be required in the house. At the end of the decree, they stoned the governor and a mayor when the count went to see the Mexica. Some were sold for 5 years and others for 2 years to be servants. On Monday, July 31st, Viceroy Don Luis Velasco was buried in Santo Domingo. On Wednesday, August 16th, those who were counts died. The new ones, counts, went there. This year, the stores of different Spaniards were finished and inaugurated. On Wednesday, September 13th, Captain Miguel Lopez began to lock up those who went to China upon returning. On Monday, December 25th, A board was placed in San Jose, Mance. Source page 110. Corresponding image, scan _110.jpg, year 1565. Today, Sunday, January 8th, there was indoctrination in the main church since the clerics worked everywhere and also rested the people. Today, Sunday, January 21st, there was indoctrination in San Jose. On June 2nd, Juan Gallicopo's writing is followed up. On Friday, December 28th, Governor Don Luis del Maria was buried. Source page 111. Corresponding image, scan _111.jpg, 1,566 years. Wednesday, January 2nd, the judges, Dr. Poga and Moore, competed for the baton of command. Today, Monday, March 25th, the visitor began. On Holy Tuesday, April 9th, the hearing broke up, and the Mexican died there. On Tuesday, July 16th, Marquise and Alonso Lavilla were arrested and detained along with their younger brother, and Alonso Lavilla and his younger brother Pablo Gonzalez died on Saturday, August 3rd, where there were 19 tied up. Today, Monday, October 21st, Viceroy Don Casto de Peralta arrived. Today, Wednesday, June 5th, 1566, Juan Grande followed up on his document. Source page 112. Corresponding image, scan _112.jpg, year of 1567. Today, Monday, March 10th, Marquise retired. Here judges Alonso Cadena and Moyos made inquiries. On Monday, May 5th, the earth began to be scraped to make ditches everywhere, and it was made for the boats. Today, Juana Lopez was born. Source page 113. Corresponding image, scan _113.jpg, year 1568. Thursday, January the 8th, 3 ship watchmen were hanged, and they were from Alonso Tavilla and Villa Castellan, and at noon they hanged the third, since they were divided at night, and the next day, which was Friday, they cut off the heads of 2 of them, and they were Baltzar Perez and his younger brother Don Pablo. Start 8 days of the month of January, and Thursday tika quimpeloque, Yaintin y Calpixcal, Catka in Alonso, Tavida no Yahuat in Villa Castellan, Auche nepantlatonatu compiloque, IC, Hue/A, Zanyuhualtica in Quinxexiloque, Oenimos Layok, Friday Quinquechco Tonque, Omentin Yehuel Baltazar Perez, Ijuan ite Chao Don Pablo. Don Francisco Jimenez Domingo was arrested on January 18th. The next day, people screamed in the church. On February 9th, Alonso Tavilla's house began to be dismantled. On Wednesday, March 3rd, Don Gaston de Peralta started, Monex Huidahuac, to Tepeyac. Don Martin Enriquez, Viceroy, arrived. Saturday, March 20th, Judge Alonso Cadena Castellan left and took those who were tied up and who were going to die in the boats. Today, Wednesday, July 2nd, the Chapultepec Aqueduct began. Today, Thursday, May 13th, in the afternoon, the judges were replaced, and Judges Diego Tovar and Juan Garcia took office. On Monday, September 20th, the visitor began. Pablo Calixto is on the eve of the coming kings. Today, Friday, December 10th, Dr. Seisnos died and was buried in San Francisco. Source page 114. Corresponding image, scan _114.jpg, year of 1569. On Thursday, July 14th, while it was still night, Judge Francisco Jimenez began to work when they buried Añanones. Today, Saturday, August 23rd, Don Francisco Jimenez arrived. Source page 115. Corresponding image, scan _115.jpg, year of 1570. Today, Saturday, February 4th, Baltazar Quatley went to China. the Acaxochianquican Aqueduct began. Today, Monday, February 6th, we were in the back of Santa Cruz. Today, Friday, September 15th, we went to complete what we were looking for. On the other hand, our job was the grass. Source page 116. Corresponding image, scan_116.jpg. Year of 1571. Here came our spiritual inquisitor leader. On Monday, September 3rd, we went and were at the pond. Source page 117. Corresponding image, scan_117.jpg. Year of 1572. Today, Friday, March 7th, Archbishop Don Frei de Montufar passed away. Today, Thursday, March 17th, the blacks of Santo Domingo were taken. The San Juan Canal was opened. Today, Wednesday, April 9th, there were prayers for the drowned people, and there was also the taking of captives. Today, April 20th, Father Fray Pablo of Ghent was buried. Today, Friday, July 25th, a wooden church was built to give an example to the rulers of how the Moors were conquered. This is how they were done, and this is how they were conquered. That's how their houses were, and that's how they were made. First, some arrived by boat to wage war and were left there. Later, others arrived on foot and stood on the roofs. Aquinas' clerics arrived here. On the 2nd, the wind hit the water in Santa Fe and clouded it. Source page 118. Corresponding image, scan_118.jpg. Year of 1573. Francisco Jimenez died. Today, Friday, January 4th, the messengers arrived at midnight. Today, Sunday, January 14th, Judge Antonio Valeriano arrived and started working. Today, January 29th, the Chalcas took possession. Today, the trench for the San Hipólito flea market store began to be dug. Source page 119. Corresponding image, scan_119.jpg. Year of 1574. Here the bishop presented to the inquisitor all the types of sins that are committed. The inquisitor was presented on Sunday. On February 28th, they burned the rulers. They killed our father on the beach of Veracruz. Today, Holy Thursday, April 8th, a procession was held with the image of our Lord. Mayor Mr. Martin Hernandez, Mayor Gaspar Garcia, Mayor Toribio Lucas. Today, Sunday, December 5th, the Archbishop was sanctified. On Friday, July 30th, the wooden church of San Jose was demolished. Source page 120. Corresponding image, scan_120.jpg. Year of 1575. Today, Saturday, July 30th, the priests St. Paul and St. Augustine entered and said Mass. Today, Friday, November 4th, the San Miguel Canal began to be whitewashed. Source page 121. Corresponding image, scan_121.jpg. Year of 1576. The police officers who were tied up came out. A coin will be used for the work. Today, Saturday, August 18th. Also in this month of August, an illness arose that caused our noses to bleed. We were also confessed in our homes, and in the same way we were given some food. The doctors were the ones who cured us. And when the bell was left, it was no longer rung. We were belittled and left in silence in the church. On Sunday, September 16th, there was a procession of St. Lucia for the disease. On Monday, I was cured in the English. And on Thursday, the procession with the saint was no longer held, and it was stipulated that whoever wanted to be part of the procession would have to pay 5 pesos. With all this, prayers would be made, and so it was done. Source page 122. Corresponding image, scan_122.jpg. Year of 1577. Today, Tuesday, October 8th, 1577, an eagle descended in the chapel of San Jose. Today, Friday, October 11th, 1577, Angla took a census. Today, Wednesday, November 6th, 1577, a star began to smoke. Source page 123. Corresponding image, scan_123.jpg, year of 1578. Source page 124. Corresponding image, scan_124.jpg, year of 1579. On the Feast of the Saints there was a procession with the Holy Cross, where our Savior who came from Rome died. When there was a lot of famine, the corn was taken care of and sold by the viceroy and the mayors. In October, the Tlaxcanatl fell. On December 22nd, Santa Clara's children left. Source page 125. Corresponding image, scan_125.jpg, year of 1580. Many fish appeared here. On Friday, September 23rd, 1580, Viceroy Don Martin Enriquez began to rule. On Tuesday, October 4th, Viceroy Don Lorenzo entered. At the end of the Patelia, they went to meet him. Source page 126. Corresponding image, scan_126.jpg. On Monday, March 20th, the San Agustin clock fell from where it was hanging, year of 1581. On Tuesday, April 11th, it shook at night, and again at noon. On May 8th, Judge Alonso de Nava took a census. On June 15th, a document arrived about the death of the rulers' wives. The wives of the king and viceroy also died, and for them there was a cessation. On June 24th, on the day of St. John the Baptist, they put a Spaniard into the white water to bathe. On Monday, September 11th, it shook very hard at night. Source page 127. Corresponding image, scan_127.jpg, year of 1582. Today, January 23rd, 1582, Bastiano was born. On the 6th Aquarius, 10 Ores, number 6 hour, 8 Tuesday. Today, Saturday, September 8th, Mass was said, and once again we were sent to San Sebastian. Today, Friday, December 9th, 1582, the water fell, and Mr. Don Lorenzo Juarez de Mendoza no longer saw it, where it was practiced. Source page 128. Corresponding image, scan_128.jpg, year of 1583. On Monday, February 4th, 1583, the canal was started. It was dug everywhere, and for a week it was very cold, and the people suffered a lot when the San Pablo Aqueduct was started. On Friday, March 22nd, it was brought to San Pablo, and it was brought from Totolapan. On Sunday, April 24th, there was a procession and joy, because in Castile there was taking of captives. At night, bonfires were set on all the rooftops, and anyone who didn't have to pay 10 pesos. On Tuesday, June 4th, the blessed St. Augustine arrived at night. On Wednesday, it rained all night. On Saturday, June 29th, Mr. Lorenzo Juarez de Mendoza died. Tuesday was St. Luke's Day. It began in the second month. In Tuesday, il Huitzinoquiz in St. Lucas oncan opel, in Cotetl Metzli Yetiaz. Source page 129. Corresponding image, scan_129.jpg, year of 1584. Today, Friday, January 27th, the trumpeters left after the Spanish. Santiago de Valla took them. On Friday, June 30th, the gold was buried because the concession ended there. There the children of the rulers will study. The bishop blessed them with their gold and silver chains. Friday to June 30th, Motocach-Teocuitlatl in oncan Yecahuiz, concesión, oncan Momactisque, in Impil Juan Tlahtoque, Quimoteochi Huili, in Bishop Teocuitlatl Cadena, Costiki Juan Iztac. Today, Tuesday, September the 12th, 1584, the main church began to be demolished, and that was when Mass was said in the name of Juana Lopez. Today, Saturday, October 8th, the bishop entered the royal palace, and he will be the one who will do justice. Today, Tuesday at 7 a.m. on December 12th, 1584, the steward of the main church fell. The advent of St. Augustine is over and Mass was said. Source page 130. Corresponding image, scan_130.jpg, year of 1585. Today, Monday, January 15th, 1585, the main church collapsed. On Sunday, January 21st, the bishops made a procession, but 8 of them were not at their side, and in October they were taken to work. On Sunday, November 28th, the Viceroy Don Francisco de Alvaro came. Today, Sunday, February 25th, 1585, Maria Antonia was born. On the 9th, Sagittarius at 8, Jupiter Aureo 8. Source page 131. Corresponding image, scan_131.jpg, year of 1586. On Sunday, January 19th, the priests of San Sebastian arrived. Here JT's disappeared along with his position. Today, Wednesday, June 11th, 1586, they fought against Bishop Pablo Moyan. First he was an inquisitor, then an archbishop, and now he is viceroy. The first thing he did was fix the main church, and he also ran out the Spaniards who were counselors. Source page 132. Corresponding image, scan_132.jpg, year of 1587. Here the tribute of 13 tomines was gathered, and once again the sacristan of San Jose was renewed. He advocated for Father Fray Alonso Martinez and San Francisco Capovan, and again the help to the sick began. On August 23rd, they began roasting the corn for 7 days. 7 pesos of tomines that were given in Marquez's house. The father gave, Ihuan yeno sepa, Ihuac posh, Inquit colique, cocoxque, 23 Augusto impos, Ilucal huya, Chicomil huil, Tlaoli maslakli omome aneka Ihuan, Chicome pesos tomines ompa motemacaya inochan marquis, Totatzin quitemacaya ich mocolhuan nakatl. Source page 133. Corresponding image, scan_133.jpg, year of 1588. Source page 134. Corresponding image, scan_134.jpg, year of 1589. Today, Monday, April 10th, 1589, the judge began to work. Today, Tuesday, April 11th. On Wednesday and Thursday, it shook very hard for 2 days. And on Wednesday the 15th, it shook again. Monday, July 3rd, 1589. A trench was dug in the courtyard of the San Jose Chapel, and it was also stuccoed. On Sunday, July 9th, 1589, the Viceroy's daughter died in Coyohuacan, but was buried here in San Francisco. On Tuesday, August 1st, 1589, the Virgin Santa Maria spent the entire day in the Tequisquipan Calpulli after arriving from Castilla. On Thursday, November 30th, 1589, on the feast of St. Andrew, Mass was said to glorify St. John and St. Mary. Source page 135. Corresponding image, scan_135.jpg. Today, Thursday, January 18th, 1590, the Viceroy Don Francisco de Alvaro began to rule. Today, Thursday, January 25th, the Viceroy Don Luis Velasco arrived. Today, Friday, July 6th, the judge was brought in. On Sunday, August 26, 90 years ago, the Church of San Francisco was closed and masses are no longer held there. On Sunday, September 16th, the children gathered in the new chapel. Today, Sunday, October 14th, the sacrament was entered into the Church of San Jose. On Monday, October 29th, Don Antonio arrived, and with him the war ended. Source page 136. Corresponding image, scan_136.jpg. year of 1591. Today, Thursday, March 14th, 1591, it shook again. On Thursday, October 3rd, 1591, the corner of the Church of San Jose was stuccoed in the part where the bell will hang. Au in Nopan Huatzipa 96. Source page 137. Corresponding image, scan_137.jpg, year of 1595. Today, Wednesday, October 25th, Viceroy Don Manrique left. Today, Sunday, November 6th, Viceroy Don Gaspar Conde arrived, when the aqueduct was going to start, and when the measles plague arose, and also when the work of the birds began, year of 1596. Today, Sunday, December 8th, when they went to wait for the sent inquisitor. In his house there was, excan Sunday to December 8th in Iquac, Omochiato in Otlatlanque, Quixitol ichen katka kachiuch nahui, yolte katka mahtlactin, ompa mikke tailpiloyan zan ixiptla in Tlatlaquextli. Today, Wednesday, Governor Don Juan Martin settled on December 25th, 1596. Source page 138. Corresponding image, scan_138.jpg. Year 1, house. Year 1597, this was when the Franciscan friars arrived, and on October 10th, they went to establish themselves in Santa Maria. On Sunday, October 19th, a procession was carried out carrying the Virgin of the Assumption. Year 2, rabbit. On February 6, 1598, the Friday of Lent procession of Brother Lupe Izquierdo began in Santa Maria. Year 3, reed. On February 10th, 1599, a document arrived about the death of our king, Don Felipe, in Spain. Year 4, flint. On May 3rd, 1600, on this date, the statement arrived from Archbishop Don Alonso Hernandez Bonilla when he died in Palom. Year 5, house. In 1601, the festival of San Blas began here, which is the festival of keeping, rabbit year. In 1602, a monument was shown here that was placed inside a house on Holy Thursday. It was very large and completely white. Today, Monday, December 23rd, our esteemed commissioner from San Francisco was brought. Year 7, reed. In the year 1603, when Archbishop Don Fray Garo of Santa Maria took Don Francisco away again, they were found in a majestic manner by the priests. And once they were inside the house, they were also surprised. Source page 139. Corresponding image, scan_139.jpg, year 1604, 8 flint. This year our beloved father, Brother Francisco de Gamboa, guardian of Tlatelolco, passed away. It was a Thursday, the feast of St. Mary Magdalene. Also this year we suffered from a flood here in Mexico, and therefore a wall was built over the dry mud. Year of 1605. 9 house. On Friday, March 25th, a car was made in Santo Domingo. 32 were shown. Incomplete idea. Year 1606. 10 rabbit. Today, Friday, March 3rd, we were counted by Judge Gaspar de Monterrey. Year 1607. 11 a cattle. Today, Sunday, July 8th, the Viceroy Don Luis de Velasco entered. Year 1608. 12 flint. Source page 141. Corresponding image, scan_141.jpg. The ruler Tenochtitlan. Source page 142. Corresponding image, scan_142.jpg. Ecumopishly 40 years. Source page 143. Corresponding image, scan_143.jpg. Huitzili Huitzin, 22 years old. Source page 144. Corresponding image, scan_144.jpg. Chimalpopocatzin, 12 years old. Source page 145. Corresponding image, scan_145.jpg. Itzcohuatzin, 13 years old. Source page 146. Corresponding image, scan_146.jpg. The old man Motochoma Ilwikaminatzin, 29 years old. Source page 147. Corresponding image, scan_147.jpg. Exiyakatzin, 14 years old. Source page 148. Corresponding image, scan_148.jpg. Tizosikatzin, 4 years. Source page 149. Corresponding image, scan_149.jpg. Awizotzin, 17 years old. Source page 150. Corresponding image, scan_150.jpg. Moteochomatzin, 19 years old. Source page 151. Corresponding image, scan_151.jpg. Quitlahuatzin, 80 days. Source page 152. Corresponding image, scan_152.jpg. Cuauhtemotzin, 2 years. Source page 153. Corresponding image, scan_153.jpg. Tlacotzin Sihuacohuat, Motel Chiutzin, Don Pablo Xochiquin, Cuauhtlatohqui, these 3 generals, Mexica-Tenochtitlan. Source page 154. Corresponding image, scan_154.jpg. Don Diego Juanitzin, Don Antonio de Mendoza. Source page 155. Corresponding image, scan_155.jpg. Don Luis de Velasco, Don Diego Tehuetzquititzin, Judge Don Esteban de Guzman, year of 1554. Source page 156. Corresponding image, scan_156.jpg. Don Cristobal de Guzman, 1557. Source page 157. Corresponding image, scan_157.jpg. Don Luis Cipac, 1563. Don Gaston de Peralta, Viceroy, 1573. Source page 158. Corresponding image, scan_158.jpg. 1568, Don Martin Enriquez, Viceroy, 1573. Don Francisco Jimenez, inhabitant of Tecamachalco. Judge Don Antonio Valenciano, resident judge of Azcapotzalco, 1596. Source page 159. Corresponding image, scan_159.jpg. 1597, 1598, 1599. Don Juan Martin is an inhabitant of Mexico. Governor. Governor Don Guillermo Sores, inhabitant of Saltacan, 1604. 1605, 1606. Archbishop Fray Gaza de Santa Maria arrived here. 1607, Viceroy Don Juan de Mendoza arrived here.